Hello, friends. A very warm welcome to Ansarkari. And in this episode, we are picking up very important questions from Economics Optional Paper One, and we are raising the bar and goal because every time we are trying to understand the loopholes and trying to understand the rigorous element of the answers, and that is why I will again ask Mansi to take the lead and to explain on her own so that she is not only learning faster but she is also able to highlight the point which is missing. And this exercise actually saves a lot of time, and it brings a kind of a stable momentum in thinking, and also later on when we are writing consistently 20 questions in one go. So this is all going to create that platform which is an integral part of our program and learning process. So Mansi, you can start, please. I'll read out the question. So what is the policy ineffectiveness proposition in the rational expectation model?
जी sir. So rational expectations model of new classical states that economic agents they fully anticipate the changes that do not change the real variables like the output and the income, even with the fiscal and the monetary policies. So assumptions of the rational expectations with that market clears automatically. There's perfect information availability and there is wage price flexibility. So through this graph of product and the labor market, where in a figure equilibrium is initially at point, it is at E naught, where we see AD naught is equal to SAS, that is, it is E naught, not E. So increase in the money supply, that is monetary policy expansion we are using, it shifts the AD naught to AD1 in this figure A, it shifts up. Prices will also increase to P, and then output production also expands because of the expansionary monetary policy. Since labor have the information of the money supply increase, they will reduce, that will reduce their real wages. They will quickly demand increase in the wages, and that shifts their the labor supply. It is declining in panel B. Leftward shift of the curve of labor supply, and in A, because of decline in labor supply, the short-term aggregate supply will also fall, that is output is falling, and it will reach point even, that is at this E point. So due to the rational expectations of people, only the nominal variables change, that is prices have increased without any change in the output that is restored at the original output level. So therefore, you can say new classicals, they too believe in the neutrality of money, which makes the policies ineffective.
Okay, moving on to the second question. What is crowding out? Enumerate policies that can restrict or avoiding or avoid, I should say, crowding out.
Ji, sir. The crowding out effect of private investment happens when the government market borrowing, it reduces the loanable funds, resulting in increase in the rate of interest, and that dampens the private investment. So crowding out through graphical representation, um, here Q1, Q3, that is equal to the size of the government multiplier, which is showcasing the amount of increase in the national output with the increase in the government expenditure. So actual increase should be Q1, Q3, but we are seeing only Q1 till Q2 is the increase in the output. So you can say this is the net increase and this much has been crowded out because of expansionary government fiscal policy. And in this panel, it is full crowding out effect, that there is no change in the output. Output is not increasing despite increase in the government expenditure because of the inelasticity of the LM curve. So in A panel, with the increase in the fiscal policy, with increase in government expenditure, the IS1 shifts up to IS2, and given the rate of interest at R naught, the national output will rise by this much amount of the government multiplier size. So the rate of interest will also rise to R dash, and this will reduce the private investment and will crowd out this much amount of the output increase due to increase in government expenditure. So when LM is perfectly inelastic, there'll be full crowding out, which occurs and there's no increase in the output. So increase in government expenditure is matched by the reduction in the investment expenditure. So solution for this is that we can go for monetization of the deficit, which is in India, it is banned under the FRBM Act, which includes printing of the new currency, but the concern is that it is highly inflationary also. And second solution is that interest rate subvention to crowd in the private investments, like we have the SEZ policy. So capital expenditure is offered at a lower interest rate than the market interest rate. So therefore, scarcity of the resources is the root cause that leads to such trade-offs in the economy. So one is the crowding out effect. So when we compare, first we have the rational expectation model. The rational expectation proponents believe that any anticipatory changes in the economy is considered by the economic agents, which makes the market self-correcting. Thus, propose a non-interventionist policy and advance that any monetary or fiscal policy will be complete ineffective in the short run and the long run. And new classical and the ration hypothesis assumptions, market clears all information available, agents optimize their decision. So based on these assumptions, new classicals, they believe that economic agents take into account all the available information regarding variable while forming their expectations. So this is the equation of expected inflation rate change in the economy. So it depends upon the past values of the inflation. So it is impossible to fool the agents when the change is completely anticipated by them. Then an example that if government expenditure is increased in given year to increase the output, workers they will take this variable into account while forming their expectations, and they will foresee the inflationary impact that will cause and revise their expected inflation. So they will see their expected wage rate also falling, and hence they will demand higher wages, which reduces the aggregate supply. So increase in aggregate demand is offset by the reduction in the aggregate supply. And increase in aid is because of the rise in the government expenditure, whereas decline in AS aggregate supply is because of the revision of the expected inflation, rise in the wage demand by the laborers. So
It
therefore,
is not.
whenever
Hmm.
Ji, sir. So whenever
Mhm.
a change is anticipatory due to the policy effect, it will not have any impact on the real variables and the rational expectation hypothesis and the policy for the fiscal policy, monetary policy completely ineffective.
Will be
The
ineffective.
only way to change output is when the change is not anticipated by the people, but since it is assumed that people are rational, all information is available, it shall so this shall will be as
Yeah.
much unanticipated. ये word पता नहीं what is this
Okay. 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 Hmm.
by the authorities as to people. So policies will have no role to play. So new classicals, they were criticized on impractical assumptions like perfect information, rationality of all the economic agents, etc. by the new Keynesians. So, sir, I've explained this through the graphical method. She's explained through this one, we can say one equation that I haven't used, but I would say that I missed on this element that is the critique of this model.
Mhm.
Like in the end, she concluded
So
the critique and
yeah. So why
rest.
do you think we have not? Why do you think? Why, because we cannot. Means how you would like to put it? Because you are saying we missed, so it didn't occur, or you were aware, but you still didn't feel it important, or it never came to your mind, or it is so unique and different that only after reading this you can make out that this would have come here.
I won't say so that this is unique, but I like while writing, I just concluded with the thing that was asked in the question. So I didn't
So
write.
means you can say we could have been a little more mindful,
Hanji.
means a little bit more stretching
Hmm.
ourselves.
Hmm.
And you are saying that you have graphically represented, but you have not given that equation, correct?
I haven't just written down this one equation, but
Okay,
there's
fine.
a
But you have
proper
represented
graph
it
for.
graphically. So if this question is getting 6.5 out of 10, how much
Mhm.
score would you give to yourself?
Um, I would say, sir, 5.
5. Okay.
Ji.
So, but then 1.5 you can also catch up. That's what we can think of uh, by fulfilling one or two more demands.
Ji.
So here examiner is giving 8 out of 10.
No, sir, it's 20. 20
20.
marker. 20 marker. है.
It's a 20 marker. So out of 20, if the person here is getting 8, so what score do we think we will get?
Hmm.
6
No, sir, I think it
or
should be more than
6.5?
6 because graph is more fundamental. So
So 7?
7, yes, sir, 7 would
7.
be.
So for 8, you want to say equation, if you would have been there, you would have also scored 8. Not 8, I would say you would have scored even 9 or 10.
G.
Because graph already you are representing. If equation would have been there, then
G.
your score would have gone even up to 10. Can we agree on that?
हाँ जी सर जी
Okay, please move on to the next question.
Next is the crowding out effect. So when rise in the government expenditure causes decline in private investment due to rise in market interest rate, it is known as crowding out. And then the graphical representation, partial and the full
Full.
crowding out. So rise in the government spending shifts the IS curve rightwards. If interest rate remains the same, output will increase multiple of the government expenditure multiplier. And but due to rise in the interest rate, the private investment reduces and the increase in the output is less than the increase in the multiplier size. So thus it causes crowding out. When the LM is vertical, crowding out is full. So policy toward the crowding out effect is monetization of deficit. So it's drawn a graph also that with monetization, printing of new currency, the LM curve will shift rightwards. So interest rate remains at the same level. So the rise in expenditure is monetized by the increasing money supply such that the interest rate remains at point E. And then we can say that IS naught increases by IS1. This is because of government expenditure, and then monetization leads to shift in the LM curve. Equilibrium will shift from E naught to E1, and increase in output will be equal to the size of government multiplier. There's no crowding out. And in second is subsidizing the investment. That is same. Along with the increasing government expenditure, we give loans to subsidized rate, and then investment demand will not decrease, no crowding out. So thus either a policy mix of monetizing the deficit or offering the subsidy can help in arresting the crowding out effect, and fiscal policy will be most effective then. So,
Okay.
Hanji sir,
Hmm.
I would say
Please,
so
when
that
it
I
comes to
have devoted less space to this aspect. Points are same, but she has explained this through graph, and I have tried explaining this through a real life example. So that is the only difference I can identify here.
okay, so I can say that if the candidate or the aspirant over here is getting our 9 out of 15,
G.
so definitely we'll get less than 9,
Hmm.
and
G.
we can learn the lesson as we have been discussing, that we must bring through economic graph or economic what I should say, concept or economic principle, by representing as much as uh, possible. So I think that is one learning for us, because in the first question, may I ask that if you were able to draw a graph in the first one, but why not you didn't occur to you that this graph must also be here?
So that was because of less space left. So
Okay, so
Hmm.
that means there are so many factors which decide our answer. So I would say that we will keep that also in. We will try to keep it as economically relevant and judicious as possible,
Hmm.
because real life example always in paper one.
So not audible.
I'm saying, like in the paper, like crowding out, you are explaining out here. They see by,
Hmm.
so
I
move
can
on, move
either
on.
sir, reduce the size of this graph so
Little
that
bit, and
more
I
space.
think solution also you have given very beautifully. So
Hmm.
it is a 15 marker. So I think we can take little bit more space. I think
Hanji sir.
these would be more. So these small things we will keep in mind. But otherwise, you are aware of that graph and
Hanji sir.
representation.
That is same sir. Only there is like the LM curve will shift down here. Rest is same.
No worries. So that means we will learn our lesson, that we will not try to clutter it at one space. We will
Hmm.
try to take little more space, because in examination you will have ample space, because examination gives you for each answer so much space that even if you cut down the answer once, then also you can write it again.
G.
Such so much amount of space is given between two answers.
Hanji sir.
So I think space is not an issue
Hmm.
at all. So we can conclude our learnings by saying that the key idea keeps on moving if we are doing it sincerely, and there are a lot of good learnings which comes out. It's a very good revision idea also,
Hmm.
and it makes us to it enhances our recall value, real time understanding, and also it helps us to find those critical gaps which are definitely going to come in the examination, but if we realize them early on, then definitely they can be covered.
Hanji sir.
So you can conclude.
I would say so that I'll try to make the answer as unique as possible through inclusion of more graphs and also
Yes.
including the examples.
And keeping them as simple as possible, not
And
extending.
hmm,
And we'll work consistently in that direction. And that
yes,
is the goal for Ansarkari also. So you join for correct understanding, you join us for right values, you join us for getting a lot of great knowledge and also unique ways of doing work. And that is what Ansarkari stands for. Thank you very much for being with us.